What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is your willingness to suffer for it? Imagine this. You're staring at the edge of your comfort zone, knowing that everything you've ever wanted sits just beyond it. But here's the catch: crossing that line isn't free. It costs you your comfort, your certainty, and sometimes even your sense of belonging. Would you still chase transformation if you knew it would demand sleepless nights, lonely mornings, and the kind of pain that most people run from? Most people say they want change. They talk about goals, they dream about success, and they post about ambition. But when the price tag shows up, when the process gets uncomfortable, when the sacrifices start to sting, suddenly the dream doesn't seem so appealing. The truth is, most people don't want transformation, they want relief. They want the shortcut, the easy way out, the breakthrough without the breakdown. They want to feel better, not become better. But here's the reality that no one wants to admit. Greatness is never handed out for free. It's purchased with pain, with discipline, with the willingness to walk alone when everyone else is looking for company. If you're waiting for someone to come along and drag you out of mediocrity, you'll be waiting forever. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the discipline you need, or the courage you lack, or the vision you keep putting off. These are things you must build yourself, brick by brick, day by day, in the silence when no one is watching. So ask yourself, if you knew that transformation would cost you everything comfortable, would you still want it? If you understood that the path to greatness is paved with sacrifice, would you still claim it as your goal? Because the truth is, the journey to your highest self isn't about tweaking a few habits or reading another book. It's about becoming someone new, and that process will demand more from you than you ever thought you could give. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Or will you settle for the comfort of staying the same? Because in the end, the only thing more painful than change is regret. And the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to step into the fire and force your own transformation, no matter what it costs. The myth of rescue. There's a story we're all told, sometimes quietly, sometimes loud enough to shape our entire lives. It's the myth that someone somewhere will eventually come along and pull us out of our struggles. Maybe it's a mentor, a friend, a partner, or even a stroke of luck. We wait for the right book, the perfect advice, or the magical moment when everything just clicks and suddenly we're transformed. But here's the truth that most people never want to face: no one is coming to rescue you. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's also the most liberating realization you'll ever have. The world isn't waiting to hand you discipline, or to gift you with vision, or to inject you with courage. These aren't things you can borrow from someone else or stumble upon by accident. They're not handed out like prizes at the end of a race. They're forged in the quiet moments when you decide once and for all that you're done waiting for a lifeline. Think about it. How many times have you looked around, hoping someone would notice your potential and give you a push? How often have you told yourself that if only you had the right support, the right environment, or the right circumstances, you'd finally become the person you want to be? It's a comforting thought, but it's also a trap. Because as long as you believe that your breakthrough depends on someone else, you give away your power. You become a spectator in your own life, waiting for a hero who never arrives. The harsh reality is that transformation is an inside job. You can surround yourself with high achievers, read every self-help book on the shelf, and listen to endless motivational speeches. But until you make the decision to take ownership of your life, nothing changes. You can sit in every seminar, nod along to every lesson, and still wake up tomorrow as the same person you were yesterday. Because the real work isn't done in public. It's done in the moments when no one is watching, when the only voice you hear is your own, and the only person you can rely on is yourself. This isn't meant to discourage you, it's meant to set you free. When you stop waiting for someone else to save you, you realize that you've had the power all along. You are the architect of your own transformation. You are the one who decides how far you'll go, how hard you'll fight, and how much you're willing to sacrifice. The sooner you accept that no one is coming, the sooner you can start building the life you actually want. So let go of the myth. Stop waiting for a rescue. The only person who can change your life is the one staring back at you in the mirror. And once you accept that, you become unstoppable. Because now you're not waiting for permission, you're giving it to yourself, and that's when real transformation begins. But if you think that realization is tough, wait until you see what it actually takes to change. Because the next step isn't just about knowing the truth, it's about fighting for it every single day. And that's where the real battle begins. The reality of transformation. Transformation isn't a gentle process. It's not a weekend project or a quick fix you can slap onto your life like a motivational sticker. The reality is, true change is a daily war, a relentless internal battle between who you've been and who you're determined to become. Most people never talk about this part. They'll show you the highlight reels, the before and after photos, the polished success stories. But what they don't show you is the struggle, the discomfort, and the raw, unfiltered pain that comes with real growth. Here's the truth: transformation is not accidental. It doesn't happen by chance, and it never happens by waiting for the right time. It's not about tweaking a few habits or making minor adjustments. It's about tearing down the old version of yourself brick by brick and building something entirely new in its place. And that process, it feels like dying, because in a way it is. The lazy part of you, the blaming part, the scared and comfortable part that's always looking for an excuse. Those pieces have to be destroyed, not managed, not pacified, not ignored. If you try to negotiate with your old self, it will only come back stronger, louder, and more convincing. You might think this sounds dramatic, but that's only because you haven't truly changed anything yet. Real transformation is war. It's a fight that happens in the quiet moments when no one is watching and no one is cheering you on. It's the decision to get up early when your body screams for more sleep. It's the choice to keep going when your mind is flooded with doubt and your heart feels heavy with loneliness. It's the discipline to say no to comfort, to distractions, to the easy way out, even when every part of you wants to give in. And here's what most people never realize. Transformation isn't about managing your weaknesses. It's about destroying them. You can't simply work around your bad habits or hope your fears will fade away on their own. You have to face them head-on, with a level of honesty and intensity that most people will never understand. You have to be willing to let go of the version of yourself that's been holding you back, even if it means feeling lost, uncertain, or completely out of your depth. This is why so many people stay the same. They want the results, but they're not willing to pay the price. They want the breakthrough, but they're terrified of the breakdown. They want to be transformed, but they're not ready to let go of the comfort that's been their safety net for so long. But here's the harsh reality: you can't have both. You can't cling to your old self and expect to become someone new. You have to choose. You have to decide every single day to fight for the future you want, even when it feels impossible. Transformation is not a passive process. It's not something that happens to you, it's something you force into existence through sheer willpower, discipline, and relentless action. It's about showing up day after day, even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when you feel completely alone. It's about refusing to settle for anything less than the life you know you're capable of living. So if you're serious about change, understand this. The reality of transformation is hard, it's uncomfortable, and it will test you in ways you never imagined. But on the other side of that struggle is a version of yourself you've never met, a version that's stronger, wiser, and completely unrecognizable to the person you used to be. And that's the reality most people never experience, simply because they weren't willing to fight for it. But if you're ready to step into that battle, the next thing you need to know is the true price of change, and why most people aren't willing to pay it. The price of change. Every dream you have comes with a price tag, and the currency isn't money, it's pain, sacrifice, and relentless discipline. This is the part no one wants to talk about. Everyone loves the idea of transformation, but when it comes time to pay the price, most people quietly back away. They want the results, but not the process. They want the rewards, but not the struggle. But the truth is, there's no shortcut, no discount, no way to bargain your way into greatness. The price must be paid in full, and it's always more than you expect. So what does it really cost to change? First, it costs your comfort. You have to be willing to step out of the familiar and into the unknown, to trade ease for effort, and to let go of the routines that have kept you stagnant. Comfort is seductive. It whispers that you're fine where you are, that you don't need to push any harder, that tomorrow is always an option. But comfort is also the enemy of growth. If you want to transform, you have to be willing to feel uncomfortable, to sit with the pain of progress, and to keep moving forward even when every part of you wants to retreat. Next, it costs you your old identity. The person you've been, the one who makes excuses, who procrastinates, who settles for good enough, can't come with you on this journey. That version of you has to be left behind, no matter how familiar or safe it feels. This isn't about tweaking a few habits or making minor improvements. It's about a complete overhaul, a total reinvention. And that means letting go of the stories you've told yourself, the limitations you've accepted, and the patterns you've repeated for years. It means facing the uncomfortable truth that you've been the one holding yourself back, and deciding once and for all that you're done living that way. But the price doesn't stop there. It also costs you your time. Transformation demands long hours, repeated actions, and a level of consistency that most people simply aren't willing to maintain. It means showing up day after day, even when you're tired, even when progress feels invisible, even when no one is watching or cheering you on. It means sacrificing short-term pleasure for long-term gain, choosing discipline over distraction, and grinding in silence while the rest of the world is looking for shortcuts. And perhaps the hardest price of all, it costs you your relationships. Not everyone will understand your journey. Some people will question your choices, mock your discipline, or try to pull you back into the comfort of the old life you're leaving behind. You'll lose friends, you'll outgrow environments, you'll find yourself standing alone more often than you'd like. But that's the reality of growth. Sometimes you have to walk alone to become the person you're meant to be. This is the price of change. It's paid in discomfort and sacrifice and the willingness to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. It's paid in the silence of early mornings, in the discipline of late nights, in the moments when you choose your future over your feelings. And the truth is, most people aren't willing to pay it. They want the transformation, but they're not willing to endure the pain it requires. They want the breakthrough, but they're not willing to break down the walls they've built around themselves. But here's the secret. The pain of change is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. Every sacrifice you make, every moment of discomfort you endure, every hard decision you choose, it all adds up. It all matters. And one day you'll look back and realize that the price you paid was nothing compared to the life you gained. So if you're serious about transformation, ask yourself, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to trade comfort for growth, excuses for action, and temporary pain for permanent progress? Because the cost is high, but the reward is higher. And the next step is learning how to force that shift, how to stop waiting for the perfect moment and start building the life you want right now. Forcing the shift. If you're waiting for the perfect moment to change, you'll be waiting forever. The truth is, there's never a right time to transform your life. There's no magical burst of motivation coming to sweep you off your feet, no sudden wave of support that will make everything easy. The people who actually change, the ones who break free from their old patterns and build something new, aren't the ones who wait for inspiration. They're the ones who force the shift, no matter how they feel, no matter what's happening around them. This is where most people get stuck. They think they need to feel ready before they act. They wait for motivation to strike, for circumstances to improve, for someone to give them permission. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather, and if you depend on it, you'll never build anything that lasts. The real secret is this: you don't wait for motivation, you build systems. You create routines that make action automatic, even on the days when you don't feel like it. You set up your environment so that discipline becomes the default, not the exception. Forcing the shift means making a decision and backing it up with action every single day. It means refusing to let your feelings dictate your behavior. You don't wait to feel confident, you act, and confidence follows. You don't wait for the world to support you, you become your own support system. You build habits that reinforce your goals, and you protect those habits like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Think about your mornings. The first hour of your day is the foundation of your identity. If you start your day in distraction and reaction and mindless consumption, you're already playing from behind. But if you start with intention, with silence, discipline, and clarity, you set the tone for everything that follows. You speak to yourself with purpose, declaring who you are and who you're becoming, not based on your past, but on your vision for the future. This isn't just positive thinking, it's mental architecture. It's the blueprint for the person you're building. And here's the thing, you have to move even when you don't feel like it. The world doesn't care about your mood, it rewards what you do, not what you intend. So you show up even when you're tired, even when progress feels slow, even when no one is watching. That's how you break the cycle of inconsistency. That's how you build momentum. That's how you earn your own respect. Forcing the shift also means cutting out the things that pull you backward. You delete distractions, you remove yourself from environments that don't serve your growth, and you say no when it's easier to say yes. You keep your word to yourself, even when no one else is holding you accountable. This is the discipline that separates those who talk about change from those who actually achieve it. And yes, it's hard, it's supposed to be. Growth is uncomfortable by design. But every time you force yourself to act, every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're building a new identity, one that can't be denied, one that can't be ignored. You become the person who moves forward no matter what. So stop waiting for the stars to align. Stop hopping for the perfect mood or the perfect moment. Force the shift, build the systems, protect your routines, And watch as your life begins to change, not because you waited for it, but because you made it happen. And as you do, you'll discover the next secret, the power of language and identity, and how the words you speak to yourself can either build your future or keep you trapped in your past. The power of language and identity. Most people underestimate the power of their own words. They think language is just a way to describe what's happening, but in reality, it's the tool that shapes what happens next. The way you talk to yourself isn't just background noise, it's the script your mind follows, the blueprint your identity is built on. If you keep speaking like the old you, you'll keep living like the old you. But if you change your language, you start to change your life. Every morning, before the world has a chance to tell you who you are, you have the opportunity to declare it for yourself. This isn't about empty affirmations or wishful thinking. It's about speaking with intention, about telling your mind who's in charge. When you say, "I am not average, I am focused, I am dangerous to my excuses, I am the architect of my future," you're not just reciting words, you're programming your identity. You're setting the standard for how you show up, how you act, and what you tolerate from yourself. Repetition creates belief. The more you say something, the more your mind starts to accept it as truth. And once belief takes root, it transforms your identity. Identity is the engine that drives behavior, and behavior is what builds results. This is the cycle most people never understand. They try to change their actions without changing their beliefs, and they wonder why nothing sticks. But when you start with language, when you speak to yourself as the person you want to become, you lay the foundation for real, lasting change. But it doesn't stop with words. After you've spoken, you have to move. You have to act even when you don't feel inspired. The world doesn't care how you feel, it only responds to what you do. So you show up even when you're tired, even when progress feels invisible, even when your mind is screaming for comfort. That's how you break the old cycle. That's how you build momentum. That's how you earn your own respect. And here's the truth, your language is not decoration, it's direction. Every word you speak is a command to your subconscious, a signal to your brain about what's possible and what's not. If you keep telling yourself you're stuck, you'll stay stuck. If you keep saying you're not good enough, you'll find ways to prove yourself right. But if you start speaking with clarity, with conviction, with the certainty that you are becoming someone new, your actions will start to follow. This is why it's so important to guard your self-talk. Don't let old stories, old labels, or old doubts take up space in your mind. Replace them with language that serves your vision. Speak about your goals as if they're inevitable. Talk about your discipline as if it's unbreakable. Describe your future as if it's already on its way. Because the more you reinforce this identity, the more natural it becomes to act in alignment with it. And when you slip up, because you will, don't use your words as weapons against yourself. Don't reinforce failure with negative self-talk. Instead, use your language to get back on track. Remind yourself of who you're becoming, not just who you've been. This is how you build resilience. This is how you keep moving forward, even when the old you tries to pull you back. So if you want to transform, start with your words. Speak with intention, declare your new identity, and then back it up with action day after day until your language and your life are finally in sync. Because when your words and your actions align, you become unstoppable. And that's when the real transformation begins to take root, deep, unshakable, and impossible to ignore. But as you start to build this new identity, you'll quickly realize that the biggest battle isn't with the world outside, it's with the war raging inside. And that's where the next chapter of your transformation truly begins. Facing the war within. The greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't against the world, it's against yourself. This is the war that rages in silence, behind closed doors, when no one else is watching. It's the daily struggle between the part of you that craves comfort and the part of you that's hungry for growth. Most people never win this war because they don't even realize it's happening. They think their obstacles are external: bad luck, tough circumstances, unsupportive people. But the real enemy is internal. It's the voice that whispers, "Just this once, take it easy." It's the urge to hit snooze, to skip the hard work, to settle for good enough. This inner war is relentless. Every morning you wake up to the same battle. Will you lead your life, or will you drift through it? Will you choose discipline, or will you let your emotions run the show? The truth is, your old self, the one who's mastered the art of excuses, procrastination, and self-doubt, doesn't want to let go. That version of you is comfortable, familiar, and incredibly persuasive. It will use every trick in the book to keep you from changing. It will remind you of your failures, magnify your fears, and convince you that you're not ready. But here's what most people never understand. You can't negotiate with your old self. You can't reason with the part of you that's addicted to comfort. You have to defeat it. Every time you surrender to that voice, you give it more power. Every time you choose comfort over commitment, you strengthen the very force that's holding you back. The only way to win this war is to be ruthless with your excuses. You have to starve them of attention, deny them access to your decisions, and refuse to let them dictate your actions. This isn't easy. In fact, it's the hardest part of transformation. You'll lose sleep, you'll feel misunderstood. You'll want to quit more times than you can count. There will be days when you question everything, your goals, your abilities, even your worth. But none of that matters if you keep showing up. Because every time you act in spite of fear, every time you move forward when your mind screams to stop, you chip away at the old identity and build a new one in its place. And don't expect applause for this work. No one is going to cheer you on for waking up early, for saying no to distractions, for grinding in silence. The world celebrates results, not the process, but the process is where the real transformation happens. It's in the lonely hours, the quiet sacrifices, the moments when you choose your future over your feelings. That's where you earn your own respect. That's where you become someone you can trust. Remember, the opinions of others are irrelevant in this war. Most people are watching from the sidelines, projecting their own fears and limitations onto you. If they mock you, it's only because your discipline reminds them of what they're not doing. Let them talk. You're not here for their approval, you're here to win the war within. So how do you keep fighting when the battle feels endless? You build systems that make discipline automatic. You create routines that support your goals, even on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. You surround yourself with reminders of who you're becoming, not who you've been, and most importantly, you keep your word to yourself no matter what. This is the real work of transformation, not the external achievements but the internal victories. The moments when you choose action over excuses, discipline over desire, and growth over comfort. The more you win these battles, the stronger you become. And eventually, the old you, the one who avoided hard conversations, hard work, and hard truths, becomes a distant memory. But the war within never truly ends. Every new level of growth brings new challenges, new fears, and new opportunities to prove to yourself that you're not the person you used to be. And that's the beauty of transformation. It's a lifelong journey, a daily decision to keep fighting for the future you deserve. And as you continue to win these internal battles, you'll discover the next step, taking radical ownership of every part of your life and finally stepping into the role of the builder, not the blamer. Radical ownership. There's a moment in every transformation journey when you have to stop pointing fingers and start looking in the mirror. This is the turning point, the place where real change begins. It's called radical ownership, and it's the difference between people who talk about change and people who actually make it happen. Most people spend their lives blaming circumstances, other people, or even fate for where they are. But the truth is, as long as you're blaming, you're not building, you're not creating. You're not moving forward, you're just giving away your power piece by piece to everything and everyone except yourself. Radical ownership means taking full responsibility for every part of your life, your actions, your habits, your results, and even your failures. It's about looking at your life, every corner of it, and saying, "This is mine, all of it." The chaos, the setbacks, the missed opportunities, the wasted time, it's all yours. And that's not a punishment, it's liberation. Because the moment you accept that you built your current reality, you also accept that you have the power to rebuild it. You can't change what you don't own. The weak man blames. The strong man owns, even when it hurts, even when it means admitting you've been operating below your own standards. This level of honesty is rare. It's uncomfortable. It means admitting that your excuses, your procrastination, your lack of discipline, they're not anyone else's fault. They're yours. But here's the paradox. The more responsibility you take, the more freedom you gain. You stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems. You stop hopping for a lucky break. You realize that you are the solution you've been searching for all along. Radical ownership is about more than just accepting blame. It's about taking command. It's about becoming the builder of your own life, not the blamer. The creator, not the complainer. When you step into this mindset, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances and start seeing yourself as the architect of your future. You realize that every choice you make, every habit you reinforce, every standard you set is either building the life you want or reinforcing the one you're trying to escape. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges. Life will still throw obstacles in your path, People will still disappoint you. Circumstances will still be unfair. But when you take radical ownership, you stop using those things as excuses. You start asking better questions. What can I do about this? How can I respond differently? What lesson can I learn here? You become proactive instead of reactive. You become powerful instead of powerless. And here's the truth. The world doesn't care about your intentions. It doesn't care about your dreams or your potential. It only responds to what you do. When you take ownership, you stop waiting for recognition or reward. You start acting because it's who you are, not because you're hopping for applause. You build discipline not for the approval of others, but for your own self-respect. You set standards not because someone else told you to, but because you refuse to settle for less than you're capable of. Radical ownership is the birthplace of transformation. It's the foundation on which everything else is built. Without it, you'll always be at the mercy of your environment, your emotions, and the opinions of others. With it, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who can't be denied, who can't be held back, who can't be broken by setbacks or slowed down by criticism. So if you're serious about changing your life, start here. Take ownership of everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. Stop blaming, stop complaining, and start building. Because the moment you do, you'll discover a level of power and freedom you never knew existed. And that's when you're ready for the next step, aligning your thoughts, words, and actions so that every part of your life moves in the same direction, toward the person you're determined to become. If you want to know why most people never reach their potential, look at the gap between what they say and what they do. They talk about their goals, they dream about their future, they make promises to themselves and others, but their daily actions tell a different story. This is the silent killer of transformation: misalignment. When your thoughts, words, and actions are out of sync, you create chaos inside yourself. You feel stuck, frustrated, and powerless, even when you're working hard. The truth is, real power comes from alignment. When every part of you is moving in the same direction, you become unstoppable. Alignment isn't just about having good intentions. It's about making sure your daily habits, your routines, and your decisions all serve the vision you have for your life. It's about asking yourself every single day, are my actions reflecting the person I claim I want to be? If the answer is no, you have to make a change, because you can't fake alignment. You can't talk your way into transformation. You have to live it moment by moment, choice by choice. Consistency is the engine that drives alignment. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up again and again, even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing the hard things not just once, but every day until they become part of who you are. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they act, but motivation is fleeting. It's unreliable. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision. It's a commitment to yourself that you will do what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. This is where systems come in. If you want to stay aligned, you need to build systems that make the right actions automatic. Your calendar should reflect your priorities. Your environment should support your standards. Your conversations should reinforce your values. If anything in your life contradicts the transformation you seek, you have to cut it out, ruthlessly, without apology. Because every compromise, every excuse, every moment of misalignment pulls you further away from the person you're trying to become. Think about it. Every time you say you'll do something and then don't follow through, you weaken your own trust in yourself. You teach your mind that your words don't matter, that your promises are negotiable. But when you act in alignment with your values, when you keep your word to yourself, you build unshakable confidence. You become someone you can rely on no matter what. Alignment also means being honest about what you want and what it takes to get there. It means refusing to be vague about your vision. The transformed person knows exactly what aligns with their goals and exactly what doesn't. If something doesn't serve your mission, it's out. No debate, no negotiation. This level of clarity is rare, but it's what separates those who achieve lasting change from those who just talk about it. And here's the secret: alignment isn't a one-time decision. It's 1,000 small decisions made every day, often in silence when no one is watching. It's choosing discipline over desire, structure over chaos, action over procrastination. It's reading instead of scrolling, working instead of wishing, showing up instead of making excuses. Over time, these choices add up. They create a new identity, a new reality, a new life. So if you want to transform, stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start aligning your thoughts, your words, and your actions. Build systems that support your growth. Be consistent even when it's hard, and watch as your life begins to move in the direction you've always wanted. Because when you live in alignment, you don't just change your habits, you change your destiny. And as you master this alignment, you'll find that the next step is letting go of everything that no longer serves you: old habits, old relationships, old mindsets. so you can move forward lighter and stronger than ever before. Letting go and moving forward. Transformation isn't just about what you add to your life, it's about what you're willing to leave behind. This is the part that most people resist, the part that feels the most uncomfortable, and yet it's absolutely necessary. You can't carry your old habits, your old relationships, and your old mindsets into a new life and expect anything to change. Growth demands that you let go of what no longer serves you, even if it means stepping into the unknown with nothing but your vision and your discipline to guide you. Letting go is hard because it means saying goodbye to the familiar. It means walking away from routines that once brought you comfort, from people who once felt like home, and from identities that you've worn for years. But here's the truth: the comfort of the past is the enemy of your future. Every time you cling to what's safe, you close the door on what's possible. The man you're becoming can't survive in the environment that built the man you used to be. This process isn't about disrespecting your past, it's about honoring it by moving forward. The habits, the people, the beliefs that got you here served their purpose. They protected you, shaped you, and taught you lessons you needed to learn. But now they're holding you back. The season has changed, and so must you. If you want to rise higher, you have to be willing to outgrow the things that once felt essential. Letting go also means making tough decisions. It means cutting ties with distractions, with negativity, with anything that pulls you away from your mission. It means saying no to invitations that don't align with your goals, to conversations that drain your energy, to environments that encourage mediocrity. This isn't about being cold or ruthless, it's about being committed. Your future is too valuable to bargain with your past. And yes, it will hurt. You'll feel the sting of loss, the ache of loneliness, the discomfort of uncertainty. But that pain is proof that you're moving in the right direction. Growth is supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to challenge you, to stretch you, to force you to become someone new. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But most people won't because they're not willing to pay the price of letting go. But here's what you gain in return: freedom. When you release what no longer serves you, you create space for new opportunities, new relationships, and new levels of achievement. You become lighter, faster, more focused. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter and you start investing it in the things that do. You become the architect of your own life, designing every detail with intention and purpose. Letting go is also about forgiving yourself for the mistakes you've made, the time you've wasted, the opportunities you've missed. It's about refusing to let regret anchor you to the past. Every day is a new chance to choose differently, to act with more clarity, to move with more conviction. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence. Use it as fuel, not as a chain. And as you move forward, celebrate your progress. Every step you take away from the old you is a victory. Every time you choose growth over comfort, discipline over distraction, vision over nostalgia, you're proving to yourself that transformation is possible. You're building momentum, and with every decision, you're getting closer to the life you've always wanted. So, don't mourn what you must outgrow, celebrate it. Let it be a sign that you're evolving, that you're refusing to settle, that you're committed to becoming the best version of yourself. The pain of letting go is temporary, but the freedom it brings is permanent. And as you continue to move forward, you'll realize that this uncommon path isn't for everyone. Most people will never choose it. But you're not most people. You're the one who's willing to do what others won't, to become what others can't. And that's what sets you apart as you step into the next phase of your transformation. The uncommon path. If you look around, you'll notice something. Most people are content to stay exactly where they are. They talk about change, they fantasize about a better life, but when it comes time to act, they freeze. They choose comfort over challenge, routine over risk, and the familiar over the unknown. This is the common path, the road most traveled. It's safe, predictable, and crowded with people who are all waiting for something to change without ever changing themselves. But there's another path, one that's far less crowded. It's the path of the uncommon, the relentless, the few who are willing to do what others won't. This path isn't glamorous. It's not lined with applause or paved with instant rewards. In fact, it's often lonely, misunderstood, and filled with obstacles that would make most people turn back. But for those who choose it, the uncommon path is the only way to real transformation. Walking this path means accepting that you'll be different. You'll make decisions that others question. You'll set standards that make people uncomfortable. You'll say no to things that everyone else says yes to, and you'll say yes to things that most people avoid. You'll be called obsessed, extreme, even arrogant. But that's the price of refusing to settle. The uncommon path demands that you become immune to the opinions of the crowd. You stop seeking validation from people who aren't willing to pay the price you're paying. On this path, you'll lose people. Friends who once felt like family may drift away because your growth makes them confront their own stagnation. You'll outgrow environments that once felt like home. You'll find yourself standing alone more often than you'd like, but that solitude is where you find your strength. It's in the quiet moments when no one is watching that you build the discipline, the resilience, and the self-respect that set you apart. The uncommon path is also about embracing discomfort. While most people run from pain, you learn to use it. You see every challenge as an opportunity to grow, every setback as a lesson, every failure as a stepping stone. You stop cursing your trials and start using them as fuel. You understand that the pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts a lifetime. So you choose the hard road not because it's easy, but because it's the only road that leads to greatness. And here's the truth: most people will never understand your journey. They'll criticize your choices, question your motives, and try to pull you back to their level. But you don't owe them an explanation. You don't need their approval. The uncommon path is walked by those who are willing to be misunderstood, to be doubted, to be alone, because they know that the reward is worth it. This path also requires relentless consistency. You don't just act when you feel like it. You show up every day regardless of your mood, your circumstances, or the recognition you receive. You build systems that make discipline automatic, routines that support your vision, and habits that reinforce your identity. You become the kind of person who can't be denied, who can't be distracted, who can't be stopped by anything less than total commitment. And as you walk this path, something incredible happens. You start to attract opportunities, relationships, and experiences that match your new standards. The world begins to respond to your discipline, your clarity, your integrity. You become a magnet for success, not because you're lucky, but because you've earned it through relentless effort and unwavering focus. So if you find yourself feeling alone on this journey, remember, you're not lost, you're just uncommon. You're one of the few who are willing to do what it takes to pay the price, to walk the road less traveled. And that's what makes all the difference. Because in the end, the uncommon path is the only path that leads to a life worth living, a life of purpose, of growth, of true transformation. And as you continue down this road, you'll discover a powerful truth. The universe itself begins to align with your efforts, rewarding your discipline and your courage in ways you never imagined possible. That's the law of the universe, and it's waiting for you to claim it. The law of the universe. There's a force at work in the world that most people never notice. It's not luck and it's not magic, it's the law of the universe, a principle that quietly shapes every outcome, every opportunity, every result. This law doesn't care about your intentions, your dreams, or your excuses. It responds only to order, action, and self-respect. The universe rewards those who move with purpose, who act with discipline, and who refuse to settle for less than they're capable of. You see, most people drift through life, hoping that things will just work out. They wait for the right moment, the perfect conditions, or a sign that it's finally their time. But the universe doesn't respond to hesitation. It doesn't reward halfway commitments or vague intentions. It organizes itself around those who are clear about what they want and relentless in their pursuit of it. When you move with conviction, when you set a standard and enforce it, the world begins to shift in your favor. This isn't mysticism, it's law. When you bring order to your life, you create a foundation that the universe can build upon. When your thoughts, words, and actions are aligned, you send a signal that you're ready for more. Opportunities start to appear not because you wished for them, but because you've created the conditions for them to exist. The universe respects structure. It respects discipline. It respects the person who respects themselves enough to demand more. But here's the catch: the law of the universe is always working, whether you acknowledge it or not. If your life is filled with chaos, distraction, and inconsistency, the universe will mirror that back to you. If you tolerate disorder, you'll attract more of it. If you settle for mediocrity, you'll be surrounded by it. But the moment you decide to force transformation, to bring order to your habits, your environment, your relationships, the universe responds in kind. It meets you at the level of your standards. This is why transformation is never a single moment. It's a system, a way of living that demands consistency and clarity. You don't arrive at excellence by accident. You arrive by establishing non-negotiable standards and enforcing them day after day, regardless of how you feel. You become your own lawmaker, your own enforcer, your own leader. Most people spend their lives waiting to be led, hoping someone else will hand them structure or motivation. But the person who transforms understands that they are the structure, they are the energy source. They don't outsource what they're designed to command. The law of the universe also teaches you that you can't fake alignment. You can't pretend to be disciplined in one area while letting chaos rule in another. The universe sees through half-hearted efforts. It rewards those who are all in, who are willing to cut out what doesn't serve them, who are ruthless about protecting their vision. This is why you must examine every part of your life with brutal honesty. If your routine makes space for laziness, change it. If your circle makes space for mediocrity, upgrade it. If your mindset makes space for doubt, retrain it. There is no honor in keeping what no longer serves you. And as you continue to enforce this order, you'll notice something incredible. The world begins to respond. People start to respect your boundaries. Opportunities open up that once seemed out of reach. Alignment becomes automatic and success starts to feel inevitable. Not because the universe is handing you favors, but because you've finally aligned yourself with its laws. So if you want to transform, stop waiting for the universe to give you a sign. Become the sign. Set the standard. Enforce the order. Move with purpose and watch as the world organizes itself around your vision. The law of the universe is always at work. The only question is whether you're using it to your advantage or letting it work against you. And as you master this law, you'll realize that the greatest reward isn't external recognition or material success. It's the inner peace that comes from knowing you're living in full integrity with your purpose. That's the real prize of transformation, and it's waiting for you to claim it as you step into the final chapter of your journey. So, after all the struggle, the sacrifice, and the relentless pursuit of something greater, what's left? What do you really gain from forcing your own transformation, from walking the uncommon path, from living in alignment with the law of the universe? The answer isn't found in applause, in status, or in the fleeting approval of others. The true reward is something deeper, something that can't be measured by anyone but you, the unshakable peace that comes from knowing you became the person you were meant to be. Transformation is not a single moment of glory. It's not a highlight reel or a viral success story. It's a system, a way of living that demands your best every single day. It's the quiet decision to rise before the sun, to keep your word when no one is watching, to choose discipline over comfort, and to act with integrity even when it's inconvenient. It's the willingness to let go of what no longer serves you, to outgrow your old self, and to step into the unknown with nothing but your vision and your conviction to guide you. Most people will never do this. They'll spend their lives justifying their stagnation, blaming their circumstances, and waiting for someone else to give them permission to change. But you're not most people. You're the one who decided that comfort is too expensive, that regret is too heavy, and that mediocrity is no longer an option. You're the one who chose to pay the price, to walk the hard road, to become unrecognizable to the person you used to be. And yes, the journey is hard. You'll lose sleep, you'll lose friends, you'll lose the version of yourself that was content to settle for less, but what you gain is worth every sacrifice. You gain self-respect, the kind that can't be shaken by outside opinions. You gain clarity, the kind that cuts through confusion and doubt. You gain freedom, the freedom to design your life, to set your own standards, to live on your own terms. But perhaps the greatest reward is the legacy you leave behind. Not a legacy of comfort, but a legacy of conviction. Not a story of excuses, but a story of execution. Not a life of almost, but a life of all in. When you force your own transformation, you become living proof that it can be done. You show others, without ever needing to say a word, that greatness is possible, that discipline is powerful, and that the only permission you ever needed was your own. And as you look back, you'll realize that the pain, the pressure, the practice, it was all worth it. Because you didn't just change your habits. You changed your identity. You didn't just chase a dream. You built a new reality. You didn't just survive, you thrived, you led, you became. So as you stand at the edge of your next decision, remember this: transformation is not optional. It's not occasional. It's the price of freedom. The world will not hand you what you desire. It will hand you what you demand when your demands are backed by relentless discipline and unapologetic action. You owe yourself excellence. You owe yourself structure. You owe yourself the peace that comes from living in full alignment with your purpose. Don't wait for the world to notice. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission. The time is now. The responsibility is yours. The transformation is waiting. And the only question left is, will you force it, or will you settle for the life you've always known? Let your answer be your legacy. Let your actions speak louder than your intentions. And let your transformation be the undeniable proof that greatness is not given, it's earned every single day by those who are willing to pay the price.